There is a kind of tired that a full night of sleep no longer reaches. You know the one. You lay down last night and closed your eyes, and when morning came, the heaviness was still there, exactly where you had left it. You carried it through today anyway. You rose, and you did what had to be done, the way you always do, long after your body had quietly begged you to stop. And no one saw what that cost you. They so rarely do. Now the room has gone dark, and the day has finally loosened its grip, and still you are awake, holding a weight you have carried so long you hardly know how to set it down. I have watched you do this for longer than you know. I saw the morning you almost could not rise, and rose anyway. I heard the small, tired breath you let go tonight, when you were certain no one was near enough to hear it. My beloved child, do not close this. Stay here in the quiet, with me. For these few minutes, you do not have to be strong. You do not have to fix anything, or keep pretending you are fine. Only be still, and let me come near. Because there is something I have waited a long time to say to you, and it begins here. You are not too tired for me. You have never once been too tired for me. Come and rest tonight. Let me name the tiredness, because you have carried it so quietly, for so long, that you have nearly forgotten it has a name at all. There is a tiredness that sleep can mend. You work hard, you rest a night or two, and the strength comes back. That is the tiredness the whole world understands. But yours is not that kind, and inside you already know it. Yours is the tiredness that sleep cannot touch, because it did not begin in your muscles or your bones. It began deeper, where a person keeps giving and giving for years, and is never once allowed to run empty in peace. You have been the strong one. Do you remember how many years it has been? You were the one the others leaned on, who held the family steady, who came when they called, who stayed calm while everything inside was shaking. You did not ask for that. Life set the weight into your arms, one piece at a time, and you took it up because no one stood beside you to share it. And you never set it back down. So the tiredness gathered, the way water gathers behind a wall, one quiet day at a time, until there are nights it presses so hard on your chest you can barely draw a full breath. And a thought rises up that frightens you, and you push it down before it can finish. Why does it have to be this hard? How much longer must I go on like this? I am so tired, and I do not think a single soul knows. I know. I have always known. To the ones around you, you seem fine. You have become very good at seeming fine. You say the ordinary words, you carry the ordinary loads, you smile at the right moments, and no one asks what it costs you to stay standing. But I am not fooled by the face you put on for the daylight. I have seen you in the moments no one else is given, sitting on the edge of the bed with your head in your hands before the house wakes, the tears that come with no warning, in the car, at the sink, wiped away before anyone can catch them. And here is the part that grieves me most. Somewhere along the way, you stopped believing you were even allowed to be tired. You decided your weariness was a fault to hide, a crack that must never be seen. So you learned to go quiet inside, and you called that quiet peace. But it was not peace. It was only that you had worn down too far to feel the ache any longer. And numbness wearing the coat of peace is not the same thing as rest. You were never meant to carry this much, for this long, on your own. You were not built to be the one who never stops. The fact that you are tired is not proof of your failing. It is proof that you are a living soul who has loved and given, and endured far past the point where most people would have laid it all down. But I did not draw you into this quiet only to name your exhaustion. I named it so you would know, past any doubt, that it was seen. And now that it is spoken, out in the open between us at last, let me tell you what I have wanted to do about it all along. Before I show you what I mean to do, there is one thing you must be certain of. As certain as you are that the sun will rise, even on the mornings you cannot picture it rising. Through all of it, I never once looked away from you. I know how alone this kind of tiredness has made you feel. That is the cruelest thing about it. It convinces you that you carry the weight by yourself, shut in a room no one else can enter. And here is the thing your exhaustion could never let you believe. In the very hours you felt most alone, you were not alone at all. When you sat in the dark and were sure no eye was on you, mine was. When you wept where no one could hear, I heard, and I caught every tear before it fell. You could not feel me near, so you decided I must not be. But nearness is not a feeling, child. I was not 1 inch farther from you on the nights you felt nothing at all. I held you closest in the very seasons you were most sure you had been left to carry it alone. And I do not ask you to take this only on my word tonight. Long ago I spoke, through my own son, the words the weary most needed to hear, and I had them written down and kept safe across the centuries, so that on a night like this one, they would find their way to you. As Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28 says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." Hear who I called, not the strong, not the ones who had it all in hand. I called the weary, the ones whose arms were full and whose backs were bent low. I called you by the very name your tiredness has been whispering over you for years. And I did not say, "Come once you have rested and pulled yourself together." I said, "Come as you are, weary and heavy laden, and I myself will give you the rest you could never find on your own." And notice the gentleness in those words. I did not say I would add one thing to your load. I said, the yoke I give is easy, and the burden light. The heaviness you have been dragging was never the weight I laid on you. So much of it you took up yourself, or others laid across your shoulders without asking, and you have hauled it so long you mistook it for your own skin. I am not asking you to carry it better. I am asking you to hand it to me. This is no comfort I made up to soothe you for one night. It is who I have always been toward the broken and the spent. As the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18 declares, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Not far off, close. When your spirit has been worn thin as paper, that is not the hour I step back. That is the hour I draw the nearest of all. So be sure of this one thing. You were never watched from a distance. You were never carrying it alone. And there was once a tired man I loved, a brave man, who grew so certain he had been left alone that he begged me to let him die. Let me tell you what I did for him. His name was Elijah, one of the bravest men who ever lived. He was my prophet. Only days before, he had stood alone against hundreds who served a false god, and watched me answer him with fire out of heaven before a whole nation. If any man ever had reason to feel strong, it was Elijah on that mountain. And then a single threat reached him. A powerful queen sent word that she would take his life by the next day, and something inside him gave way. The man who had faced down an army turned and ran. He ran past the last green field, into the wilderness, into the dry and empty country. And when his legs would carry him no farther, he sat down under a lone broom tree, and he was finished. Listen to what this brave man prayed. He did not ask for strength. He did not ask to be rescued. He looked up at me and said, I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors. He was so emptied out, so sure he had failed, that death itself looked like the only rest he would ever be given. He had come to the very end of himself. Now hear what I did, for it is the whole reason I am telling you his story. I did not rebuke him. I did not remind him of the fire on the mountain and order him to be strong again. He had just asked me to let him die, and I did not scold him for it, not with a single word. When my servant lay at the bottom of himself, worn past the reach of any encouragement, my first answer was not correction. It was tenderness. He was so spent that he lay down under that tree and fell straight asleep. And while he slept, I sent an angel. And the angel did not wake him with a lecture. He touched him gently, and there beside his head was warm bread baked over the coals and a jar of cool water. Get up and eat, the angel said. Elijah ate a little and drank, and he was still so weary that he lay back down and slept again. And I let him. I let him sleep a second time. Then the angel came once more and touched him a second time, and spoke the words I want you to hold on to for your own tired heart tonight. As 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 7 says, "Get up and eat, for the journey is too much for you." Not, "Get up, you are weak." Not, "Get up, you should be ashamed." The road ahead is long, and it is too much for you as you are. So eat first, and drink, and let your strength come back. And only then, fed and rested and made new, did Elijah rise and walk on. And the strength of that food carried him 40 days and 40 nights. Do you see what I did for my exhausted prophet? At his lowest, I did not ask him to try harder. I fed him. I gave him water. And more than once, I let him sleep. Rest was not the prize I made him earn once he recovered. Rest was the very way I brought the recovery. That is how I care for the ones I love when they have run all the way out. Bread and water and sleep and a gentle hand, long before a single word about the road ahead. And you, tonight, worn down to almost nothing. You are more precious to me even than Elijah was. So hear it plainly. Just as I met him under that tree, and fed him, and let him sleep, and never once shamed him for being spent, so I am doing for you, in this very quiet, right now. Let me tell you something about rest that the world has worked hard to keep from you. Rest was my own idea. I am the one who made it. When I set creation in its place, I did not pack every hour full of labor. I made the evening to settle over the day, and sleep to follow the evening. I set apart the seventh day, a day to stop and breathe and simply be. And when the work of creating was done, even I rested, not because I was weak, but to show you, from the first week of the world, that stopping is holy, and that a life with no rest in it was never the life I designed for you. So when you lie down tonight, you are not failing. You are doing one of the most faithful things a tired soul can do, trusting that the world will keep turning without your hands holding it up. And it will, because holding it up was never your task. That was always mine. Hear how tenderly I speak of your sleep in my own book. As the Psalms, chapter 127, verse 2, declares, "In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for food to eat, for he grants sleep to those he loves." Your sleep is not a wage you must earn by finishing everything first. It is a gift I give to the ones I love. And you are loved. So the rest is already yours. You have only to receive it. And notice the way I lead my own. As the Psalms, chapter 23, verses 2 and 3 says, "He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. Hear those words. He makes me lie down. A good shepherd does not wait for his sheep to drop from exhaustion. When he sees them frightened and worn and unable to stop, he gently makes them lie down in the soft grass, beside the still water, until their strength returns. That is what I am doing with you tonight. You have not known how to stop, so I am making a place for you to lie down, and leading you to quiet water, and I will refresh the soul that has run on empty far too long. Now let me lift something off you that you were never meant to carry. The shame. The shame over the tears that come without warning, over the mornings you could barely rise, the days you had nothing left to give, the nights you cried out in the dark and were sure your weakness had let me down. Child, it never did. Your tears have never once wearied me. I do not draw back from a weeping soul. I move toward it, the way a mother is pulled from her sleep by the smallest cry of her child in the night. You believed for the longest time that you had to be strong to be worthy of me, but it runs the other way. It is in your weakness, far more than your strength, that I have always done my deepest work. The tears you were ashamed of I have kept as precious. The nights you were sure you were coming apart, I was nearer to you than on any day you felt strong. So lay it down now. Lay down the striving and the pretending and the long worn habit of proving yourself worthy of a love that was always free. Rest is not you giving up. Rest is you, at long last, believing me. And there is a morning coming that I want to tell you about, before you close your eyes. For most of your life, you have been measured by what you can do. That was the rule you were handed, though no one ever spoke it out loud. You were valued for how much you could carry, how much you could give, how useful you could be to the people who leaned on you. And so, little by little, without ever deciding to, you came to believe that your worth would run out on the day your strength did. That once you could no longer provide, no longer hold it all together, you would quietly stop mattering. That is the world's way of counting. It has never been mine. I do not love you for what you produce. I have never once set your worth against the size of what you got done. I did not love you more on your strongest day, and I will not love you one measure less on the day you have nothing left to offer but your tired breath. In my house, the weary are not moved to the back of the line. They are the ones I come for first. So be still now, all the way still. The day is finished, and you are allowed to let it be finished. Whatever is left undone will keep until morning, and the ones you love and worry over were always safer in my hands than in your tired ones. You have done more than enough, more than anyone ever stopped to thank you for. You can let your eyes close now, and I will keep watch through the dark, for I do not close my eyes, and I will guard your sleep until the light returns. And here is the promise I want to lay down beside you as you fall asleep. This long, tired stretch you have been walking is not the whole of your story, and it is not where the story ends. Deep under the cold ground, in a place your eyes cannot yet reach, the season is already turning. Morning is coming for you. I have not forgotten the good I have planned for your days. As Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11 declares, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." A future, child, not an ending. However emptied out you feel tonight, there is more road in front of you, and there is good written along it in my own hand. If these quiet nights bring you rest, come back and let me speak with you again tomorrow and the night after that. There is a new word waiting here for you each evening. Now, my beloved child, come near and let your Father lay a blessing over you. For these words were only ever meant to carry you here, to the stillness, to my hand resting gently on your weary head. May your sleep be deep tonight, and unbroken, and kind to you. May the heaviness that has pressed on your chest so long finally loosen and lift, the way dew burns off the grass when the sun climbs. May you wake tomorrow a little lighter than you lay down, and remember, before the day can crowd back around you, that you are seen, that you are held, and that you were never once too tired for the one who made you. I am your Father. My love for you did not begin on the day you became useful, and it will not end on the day your hands lie still. Rest now. Let the striving stop. And if even one word tonight found the tired place inside you that you were sure no one could ever reach, you do not have to answer me with anything more than a breath. Just whisper it back to me, soft, from right where you lie. Amen.